Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play SaGa 2 Goddess of Destiny. Right here next to my cursor you can see the trash option. It's at the bottom of the inventory. If you saw my last video you already know where this is, but I didn't, so this is where it is. And if we look down here, we can see we have obtained the Become Small, a secret medicine containing the Giant's clan dearest wish to be able to shrink their bodies. Now, this isn't a game that has a terribly robust plot, but it does have a couple of really nice ideas in it, and one that I really like is this concept of the giant clan becoming small. It's like there was once this world of giants, but then all of the giants disappeared, not because of war or famine, but because they desired to be like everyone else, and eventually they succeeded in that wish and just found a way to blend in like Johnny did. And like the extension of that cool idea into a solution for this problem of needing to get something out of a person's body, it's just really unique, and it leads into this, which is the most unique dungeon in the game. Hang in there, Kai. Into Kai's body we go. Alright, so we're using our Become Small to micronize ourselves and go inside the body of our good friend Kai. We're currently in her head. And just take a look around. This is extremely reminiscent of Jabu Jabu from Ocarina of Time. But this game, or the original game anyway, well predates it. Well, maybe not well predates it by several years. And we're going to be exploring several areas of Kai's body. As you may recall, Ashura was after some relics that were in here, so maybe we can find those relics ourselves. Unfortunately, we have some opposition to put up with. Ashura sent some of his agents here before we defeated him, so we'll be encountering some monsters along the way as we explore these various parts of Kai's body. We're now in the upper half, the torso area here, and you can kind of tell from the map there that this is a very body-shaped dungeon. The layout of the dungeon itself evokes the shape of a body laying out flat. And I don't know, it worked really well in the original game when everything was made up of 2D tiles, and I guess it works pretty well here, which has the overhead map to give you the same effect. So right now we're in Kai's right hand. We're gonna wrap around here, and if this is like the original, we're gonna find a treasure at each of the body's extremities, forcing us to go around and explore all the various parts of the body, though we're free to do so in pretty much any order. And yeah, you can see a little bit what I was talking about here. If you look at the overhead map, you can see that the room we're in resembles the shape of a hand. Now, obviously, on a real person's hand, we would be contending with bones and things in the way. But it's not meant to be entirely realistic. It's a very abstract, surreal dungeon, and that's what I really love about it. Like this and the Giant's Village are both just really interesting locations that give a lot of originality to the game. That they're not the typical like volcano dungeon, ice world dungeon, desert dungeon. It's not just like checking off the boxes of all the types of places that you visit in a video game. It's kind of doing its own thing here. And we obtain an ice crystal. Got the first one, let's hurry to the next. Okay, and so as we obtain each relic, we're going to be kind of booted out of the extremity back here into the main torso area, which is going to speed along our progress a little bit. I wonder if I should backtrack though. I didn't fully explore the hand, and there may be additional treasures. Now, like I said, though it is fairly original, like this has been done in other games, this sort of like going inside the body dungeon. I alluded to Jabu Jabu earlier. Without spoiling too much, there's a dungeon similar to this one in Breath of Fire 4 that's extremely memorable. And of course, there are many RPGs in which you travel inside like a giant robot's body, something like that. Final Fantasy IV comes to mind, as does the original Breath of Fire, which had something similar. But going inside a human body, I can't think of another very good example of that in a video game, especially like one that involves shrinking yourselves down using some sort of alien technology. It's pretty cool, and it has, like, obviously the science fiction angle on it resembles a certain science fiction movie, and it's sort of a recurring motif in like a lot of science fiction stories, but the sort of exploration of the body. But it has that like folkloric angle to it with the Giant's clan. Like that seems like something out of a fairy tale, and the juxtaposition of that with the science fiction story is what's interesting to me. And it's just kind of unexpected. I don't mean to to gush over it too much. Like, there are obviously much more original ideas in video games, but you don't expect something like this from this sort of game. Like, this was the second in a series of games which were produced basically just to be a Final Fantasy for the Game Boy, because the Game Boy wasn't a system that at the time had RPGs on it. And so, like, the bar wasn't very high for this game, and yet someone on the writing staff had some good ideas, and they were able to get in. And so we're here fighting our first group of enemies who are very clearly themed for the locale. So let's start out with a blizzard here on those influenza bees. We're going to put a punch over here on this leucocyte. Not a biologist, so forgive my pronunciation. I am not a body scientist. Oh, we have this submachine gun. I gotta remember we have that. That'll go well on these influenza bees. And then we'll put Virtue over here with Zenith on the leucocyte. Let's roll. Alright, so we have a toxin there from that influenza. Probably going to inflict poison on someone. Yep, on Natsmer. Virtue, of course, is immune from his roboticness. We see another toxin. These influenza pretty into the whole poison thing, now having poisoned both Zenith and Natsmer. There's that submachine gun taking out all the influenzas. And of course, poison ends at the end of battle there. 450 Kiro from that, and of course, Calliope is happy with us for finishing out in one round. Looks like another group of enemies similar to the last one there, so I'll just be running past those. I did see a humanoid group enemy and I think like a fish floating around, so if I see those groups of enemies, I'll try to get into those encounters, but I'm not in a big hurry to get into encounters with more of the slime type enemies. Alright, so this is the lower half of Kai's body. Before I get into that, let's go explore this passage over to the left. Find out what sort of body parts await us over here in the lower part of the upper body. I guess maybe that last door is another path to the lower body. And here we are in Kai's heart. So this should be... there's one of those... I thought it was a fish. It looks more like a ghost on the map there. Ooh, it's an earthworm. An earthworm... Well, you're going to find a lot of worms inside certain bodies, but an earthworm is not one of the types that I would expect to find. We also have apprentices. This is a cool looking enemy. And also imps. Yeah, I remember this was around the point in the game in which you started encountering magic using enemies, which can be very deadly if you don't keep them in check. So overall, this looks like a potentially very dangerous encounter. 11 opponents and a lot of ones we haven't seen before. This is the sort of encounter where I'm very happy to have the submachine gun. So let's put Zenith over there. We'll put the submachine gun on the apprentices, Green Dragon Blade also on the imps, just to play it safe there. So, is the punch enough to take out an imp? It is, good to see. Oh yeah, these apprentices are using sleep. Sleep isn't something that generally frightens me, but when you have 6 enemies capable of doing it, it can get out of hand because there are only 4 of us. And yeah, so you see what's happening here. 2 of us already asleep, meaning I'm down to just 2 characters. If this hits Natsmer, and it did. So these are the times when I'm extremely happy to have a robot in the group so that I can rest assured that if everything else goes wrong, I'll still have 1 character who's awake. At least the apprentices are continue to use sleep beyond sleep's usefulness. So I have that reassurance, if nothing else. Alright, so what enemies are still standing? Pretty much all of them. We took out 2 imps, but there's still the earthworm and all the apprentices standing. So Green Dragon Blade here from Virtue. I'm going to put it on the earthworm, I guess? Well, yeah, I'm just going to stick to the earthworm there. Like, I'm not too concerned about the apprentices continuing to cast sleep, since we're not getting any more sleep than we already are. Well, 2 of our guys woke up. That's good to see. Elodie still taking a nap, though. Good to see them trying to use sleep on Virtue, especially since there were better targets available once Zenith and Natsmer woke up. And Zenith's back asleep. Yeah, this is potentially very frustrating encounter. I think we're eventually going to pull through, but it's just going to take a little while. I don't think there's a lot that that's going to threaten Virtue at this stage in the game. Like, obviously Ashura did, but that was quite an exception. Though there is, I believe, another major boss encounter coming up at the end of this dungeon. This game sort of distinguishes between major and minor boss encounters in a way that the original game, from what I recall, didn't. So we had earlier we had encounters with like the Rampharinchus, the Rhinoceros, and the Woodman, or I think it's called a Wood Golem in this game. We had encounters with all of them that were like forced encounters at the ends of dungeons, and yet they were still counted as minor encounters because we didn't receive a treasure appropriate to our team title afterwards, and they didn't reappear in the Arena of the Dead. Also, I think all of the examples that I named are also just regular enemies at later points in the game. Oh, we got a Sleep Tome as an award, that's cool. And an evaluation from Uter, who said that her evaluations were mostly random. So I wonder if that means that if we hadn't gotten Uter's evaluation there, if we wouldn't have gotten any evaluations. Like, we didn't qualify for any of our other muses' blessings, so there was like a random chance that Uter would pick up the slack, and fortunately for us, she did. I'm not going to bother finishing off Zenith there. Now, once I close out of the menu, I have to start running right away because I saw a slime monster. Let's avoid that there. I'm running back the way I came from, but then I'm just going to rush past because that guy's pretty slow. I'm going to turn around here and head deeper into the heart. Oh, wow. Oof. All right, that earthworm was fast, and then I ran directly into that slime in front of me. Okay. Okay. So there are no apprentices in this encounter to put us to sleep. That's the good news. The bad news is that there are 17 enemies on the field right now. So obviously a flame for Melody, which is going to hit everything. Zenith here, going to attack the imps, and I'm going to have Natsmer put her submachine gun on the rainfall slugs, and Virtue's going to wrap around and hit that earthworm in the behind. And let's go and hope for the best. Actually, you know what I should have done is factored the threads into this encounter, because one of the things that the threads do is enable your attacks that normally only hit one opponent to instead hit multiple opponents. I could have really taken advantage of that here, but I wasn't considering it when I was targeting my attacks. Let's see, Elodie defeated... Ooh, Limit Drive. Okay, Mask was telling us about this. Limit Drive, when you're in danger, increases the chances of threads occurring, as well as improving the overall performance of your characters, if I remember correctly from Mask's explanation. This wasn't a mechanic that existed in the original game, but it is here, sort of a comeback mechanic, I guess, to actually offset encounters like this. In fact, I think Mask did say that Limit Drives were either exclusive to or more common in these encounters in which you fight multiple groups of opponents at once. And so like this sort of comeback mechanic allows you to offset the added difficulty of adding these sorts of encounters to the game. And I think we're going to pull through here once again. That submachine gun taking out all of those imps is a big boon, so only a few Onis remain. They seem to be dealing a lot of damage, about 40 to 60 per hit, which is a lot, but we still have Natsmer and Virtue still standing, and like I said, there's not a lot that can really deal with Virtue. Like, a properly equipped robot is something to be reckoned with. So Natsmer going down here, leaving us with just Virtue, unfortunately. So it's going to be a little bit slow going here since he can only fight one enemy at a time without the benefit of threads. So we're just going to have to wait it out. But yeah, as you can see, these Onis, who were dealing 40 plus damage to our other characters, hitting Virtue for about 3 due to his tremendously high defense. 0 damage from that Oni there, so... yeah, as long as Virtue's still standing, we're pretty much guaranteed success. Unfortunately, everyone else planted in the ground, planking there, so they're not going to be gaining any stats from the encounter. Uter's happy with us once again, though. She appears to be amused by the way things are going in these fights. So let's cast Cure a few more times from Elodie. We're running dangerously low on cures here. Perhaps I should have rested at the inn recently, but I apparently haven't. Alright, so heading deeper into the heart. Trying to avoid any further encounters. Those don't seem necessary at all. Let's see. Ooh, what's this? I just jumped into that hole without knowing for sure what it was. Oh, alright, so we went down a hole in the heart and came out in the right hand. I guess we got swallowed up by a blood vessel and carried through the bloodstream there. I guess that would be the best explanation for what just occurred. But anyway, it seems to be just a trap, similar to trapdoors that we've seen in the past. No particular benefit to going through it, but the damage done wasn't too great either. So I believe the heart was right around in here. Gonna wrap around to the left. And head back into Kai's heart here. Hopefully not going to get caught between 2 encounters right here like I did last time. Sure enough, I was able to avoid 2 of them. Let's see if I can do the same with this slime. Alright. Might have to fight that. Nope, I did not. Okay, so getting good luck running away from these guys. As long as I keep moving fast, they don't seem to notice me until it's too late for them to correct their direction. Okay, so there's a door here. but it opens for me. Really kind of eerie looking effect. Oof. Yeah, all these fleshlight corridors, really kind of unsettling. Okay, so looks like this direction is the only way we have to go. Heading through the ventricles of the heart. I believe that's what you call them. The four quadrants of the heart, I think. No, not ventricles, because ventricles are the blood vessels connected to the heart. What do you call the 4 sections of the heart? I can't remember now. Like I said, I'm not a biology scientist whatsoever. Okay, so here we have 6 apprentices and 5 imps, which is far less threatening than encounters we've seen here so far. So just going to spread our attacks out, continue to take advantage of that submachine gun, and commence. So starting out the battle with a sleep on Elodie, and good, she managed to avoid it, but we have potentially 5 more sleeps coming, so... Alright, that's 2 avoids in a row, all of them targeting Elodie. Come on, 3rd time's a charm. Yep. Put to sleep, but that's okay. 3 of them wasted their turn doing that, and a 4th is wasting his turn casting Cure on an enemy who I'm pretty sure hasn't taken any damage yet. But, as I mentioned in a previous episode, I'm not sure if you remember, enemies do frequently start the battle with less than full HP, and the reason for that in terms of game design is twofold. The first is just that it creates a little bit of variance because the amount deducted from each enemy's HP at the start of battle is random. It means that it takes a slightly different amount of damage for each opponent to be defeated, and also it allows enemies whose AI includes the Cure spell to have some benefit to actually casting that on the first turn. And as far as I can guess, that's what that mechanic is for. But it's the sort of thing where if you don't spend a lot of time playing the game, you probably won't even notice it. That seems like a lot of Cure, 1,539. I must have gotten similar amounts when I wasn't paying a lot of attention on previous encounters. Ooh, and here we go. Here's our reward for venturing through Kai's heart. What is it? The Power Crystal. So I think that's the 3rd crystal we've gotten, and the 3rd relic we've gotten here in Kai's body. We have a couple more in the lower section of her body, but those will have to wait until next time. Thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you then.